Hey folks, in this video I want to present to you my gravel bike from Stevens, the model Gavea. Stevens is a German bicycle manufacturer based in Hamburg, and the Gavea is their mid-range gravel bike of their aluminium gravel bike series. I have had mine now for 6 months, and so far I've cycled a bit more than 1000 kilometers on it on various terrains. And I'm really happy with it. They offer 6 different frame sizes. Mine is size 54, so medium. There are 2 colors to choose from, black pearl or highland green. The bike weighs 10.8 kilograms. The maximum carrying weight is 130 kilograms, including the rider, and it costs 1,600 euros. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you're interested in bicycle gear and bikes in general, you're most welcome to subscribe to my channel. The frame is made out of 6061 aluminium, which I chose because their carbon gravel bikes are far more expensive, and the second reason being that one can recycle aluminium, which makes it more environmentally friendly. Overall, I am happy with the welds. Whilst half of them are clearly visible, the other half are very nicely done. And most importantly, most of the visible welds are lower down, so when bike geeks, who often nearly cause accidents because they always have to compare their bike to the ones coming towards them, and especially the ones overtaking them, are glancing at it, they will rather see the gorgeously smooth welds. The frame has internal cable routing through the down tube, which gives it a cleaner look, but on the other hand also makes it a bit more difficult to work on. It has many mounting points, which makes it ready for bikepacking or even touring. There are 2 on the C tube, 3 on the upper and 2 on the underside of the down tube, and 2 on the top tube. But there are even more. The fork offers another 3 mounting points on each leg. If wanted, one can attach mudguards to both wheels, also a rear rack to the frame, and even a front rack to the fork. It is also possible to mount a bicycle stand, which is great when having your bike loaded, because one then doesn't have to find something to lean it against, which can lead to scratches in the paint. What I find a bit sad is the mostly black fork. At least they added a bit of color, but I would have preferred it a lot more if it had had the same color as the frame. The stem length varies depending on the frame size. Mine is 70mm and I find it great. When cycling more on the road, a longer stem is better since it makes the steering smoother, and for riding on single track or off-road, generally a shorter stem is better because one can adjust the steering quicker. But all frames have the same stem angle of -6 degrees, which puts the rider in a more sport-like position. But as you can see, I mounted mine upside down. The width of the handlebar also differs depending on the frame size. Whilst on the 3 smaller frames, the handlebar width is 420mm, on the bigger 3, the width is 440mm. The reason being that taller people tend to have wider shoulders. The drop bar has a 31.8mm diameter, a 122mm drop, a 70mm reach, and 0% of flare. So it's more of a classic, road bike drop bar than one for bikepacking, which are normally wider and provide one with a more stable maneuverability and have a certain degree of flair for more space to attach handlebar bags. The Gavea comes with a 28-inch wheel set, each wheel with 28 spokes. The rims offer a tire width between 25 and 45mm and are tube only. The tires are the G1 Byte, which I find a good compromise between road and mountain bike tires. The Gavea uses the from Shimano specifically for gravel bikes designed GRX group set, in this case the 2x10 drivetrain. The crankset is GRX 600 with 30 and 46 teeth chain rings, whilst the front and the rear derailleur are GRX 400. Nice about the rear derailleur is that it is capable of tightening the chain or loosening it with the integrated lever. That is great because when cycling on rougher terrain, a tighter chain is less likely to jump off the gears. Great about the front derailleur is that that it has 2 positions on each of the 2 chainrings, and that makes it possible to use all 10 gears from the cassette with either of the 2 chainrings. The cassette is a HG50 10-speed with 11 to 36 teeth chainrings. That gives it an overall gear ratio of 502%, which I find is very good, and also by having 20 gears there are smaller steps between each gear than compared to a 1 group set. The hydraulic shift brake levers, also called STI levers, are 10-speed GRX 400, as are the calipers. The rotors are SMRT30 with a diameter of 160mm in the rear as well as in the front, and both are attached with a center lock system. Should you be interested in an even more detailed listing of all the components and specifications, I put the link to their website in the video description. I bought the bike because I was looking for something that is multifunctional and good for its money. I go on rides off-road in the mountains with it, but also use it as my road bike in the valley. And also, I'm planning a tour in Germany for this summer with it. I think when one hasn't got the money to buy oneself multiple bikes, a gravel bike is of great value. Obviously, it won't perform as well as a road or mountain bike would, but the great thing is that one can do both to a certain level. As I mentioned before, I mounted the stem upside down to get an angle of +6 degrees. My reason being to sit in a more upright and more comfortable position. The saddle with which it came was the Oxygen series. I'm not a fan of stock saddles because the chance of it being the right one for the rider is close to 0, since a good saddle has to be chosen depending on one's body properties and the type of riding. I want to change my handlebar to one with a bit more flair and perhaps even with a bit of upsweep. When changing my handlebar, I also want to swap the bar tape. The one from Stevens is a bit slippery, which some might like, but I'm not a big fan of, and I am thinking of putting on a thicker and less slippy one. I'm also most certainly going to change the disc brake rotors after I will have worn them down to one with level 6, so the SMRT64, because they go through additional heat treatment, hardening and surface finish steps. The last thing I want to mention is that the saddle mount is one of the worst I have ever used, and it's always a total pain changing the saddle. I also want to replace that as soon as possible. I hope you found this video helpful. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, and if you're interested in bicycle gear and bikes in general, consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching, enjoy your day with a nice ride, and see you soon. Bye!